Hey there, guys. This video is going to show you how to use our CO2 tank manifold builder, or otherwise known as the manifold builder itself. So can get a little complex. It's actually pretty easy. So we're going to do this video here to show you exactly how to choose things, what to look out for, and how this is supposed to work. So first and foremost, you'll see a series of pictures. The pictures may change from time to time. However, the most important part about the pictures is actually the labels and the numbers on the pictures, because these show you exactly what reference points other items talk about, the other items being these in the list over here. See, for instance, add plugs, number 3 in images. That would be number 3 right here in images. So as we go through, some of these are going to be on the top level here. Others are actually going to be in the drop down itself. So we're going to cover this. And this may update from time to time, but the general gist of this applies to any updates that are in here. So these are some things that we want you to be aware of. First and foremost, these are going to go in order as we believe they are the best placed. And the reason being is during selection, certain things may come before others. So selecting these in order, that's how we're going to do the video. So CO2 fitting style, CGA 320. This is North and South America, Canada, Mexico. That's this type of fitting. It fits all CO2 tanks in the Americas. If you're outside of America, then you're going to need to use a BS 341. This is UK, Australia, and more. This does not cover Japan, and it may not cover Korea, okay, and then parts of China. So if you have one of those 3 areas, contact us and we can assist you with that. So you'll select CO2 CGA 320 because the majority of these sales come from within the United States. Manifold type. There's going to be a couple of different manifold types here. With that said, we have a few different options. And when you open this up, as you see here, you have 2 tanks to 1 output. There's basically 3 different options of each one of these, okay, for the other one. And we'll explain that in a minute. So look at these as basically you want to determine with this selection, what do you need? Do you need 2 tanks to 1 output? Do you need 3 tanks to 1 output? Or do you need 4 tanks to 1 output? Future ones may include 5, 6, 7, and more. So if you need, let's say, 4 tanks to 1 output, but you want to be able to have the option to make these less amount of tanks, or have, use the 4 to 1, but block certain things off, that's where the plugs come in. Getting ahead of myself now, but I just want to give you guys context for the entire situation here. So let's say that I'm coming on here and I need a 3 tank to 1 output. That's what I'm desiring. So I would go immediately to right here, 3 tank to 1 output. Now, as I mentioned, each one of these, you have 2 tank to 1 output, 3 tank to 1 output, 4 tank to 1 output. They all follow the same 3 options, okay? 2 tanks to 1 output, factory attached hoses. Example, image 4-1-DC, okay? So image 2-1-QD, not going to be that photo, okay? 2-1, okay, we keep clicking through here. 4-1-DC. This is what this references here. So 2 tanks to 1 output. We are just referencing this photo. This doesn't mean that 2 tanks to 1 output looks like this, because this is a 4 tank to 1 output because it has 4 CO2 fittings and it has 1 output right here. So with that said, we are just looking at the relevance of what the image is, okay, in the example. Factory attached hoses, for the purpose of this manifold builder, are going to be sealed with thread tape. They are not meant to be broken. If you break those thread tapes, then you are breaking the warranty. If you want to be able to disconnect these and use them, or be able to reconnect them in the future, then that's where you would get the direct connect hoses. Example 2-1-SC. So we're going to find that 2-1-SC. That's this. These are direct connect. Direct connect basically allows you to connect these without thread tape and to also disconnect them without the thread tape on them. You don't use thread tape with this. If you need more context on fittings, go to cryofx.com/fittings, and that will have more context on the videos and type of fittings, which ones take thread tape and which ones don't. So with that said, for the purpose of the video here, direct connect does not have thread tape and is meant to be disconnected and reconnected. Factory attached, you do not get to disconnect that. If you do, you break the warranty. This one is set up so that you do not use thread tape and you will not break the warranty by disconnecting them. And then still yet, we have a third option, quick disconnect hoses, image 2-1-QD. And that one is going to be right here, 2-1-QD. These are the quick disconnects. Now, if you select quick disconnects, you'll be able to select further down what type of quick disconnect. Okay, remember this is going in order. So let's say I have a 3-tank to 1 jet and I want direct connect hoses. I will click this one. Okay, now the last option here that we have is a block 4 tanks to 1 output block manifold. Okay, image 432-BM. That's going to be this right here, okay? Now, this is the block manifold itself, except this shows you what the block manifold looks like with direct connect hoses. This is direct connect. Remember, direct connect allows you to connect it and disconnect it without the use of thread tape, okay? We can also do factory connected hoses or factory attached hoses, as well as quick disconnects with a block manifold. Typically, the block manifolds cost more. That's why we put that with the 4 tanks, the 5 tanks, or more upwards from there. If you want it with your 2 or 3 tank, contact us. We can do that for you. You're just spending extra money that you don't need to spend. That's why we do not include that here. Okay, so that should cover this one. Now, if you add plugs, number 3 in images. That was what we showed earlier on, okay? Plugs are number 3, okay? They're shown in many different fashions. Now, it's just the plug that we are talking about when we reference number 3. So if you have a 3-tank to 1 output, the reason why you would select plugs is, let's say that you want to block one of these off. You want to remove one of the hoses. So image 2-1-QD. Well, actually, we'll just talk about that because I don't want to confuse anybody. So let's say you have 4 tanks to 1 output direct connect hoses, okay? That's going to look similar to this, but you're going to have 4 hoses. Actually, it'll look more like this, okay? Now, what you do is you can have plugs on here so that you can plug 1, 2, 3 and make, well, you could make this technically a 1 tank to 1 jet, or you would remove the CO2 fitting and put the CO2 fitting on the hose itself. We do set that up for you if that is what you are selecting when you add the plugs. Now, you can make this 4-to-1 a 2-to-1 by blocking off, taking 2 of the hoses out and putting plugs in 2 places. Then you can use 2 hoses, 2 tanks to 1, or 3 hoses, 3 tanks to 1 output. Okay, so all this does is adds the plugs and how many plugs you need. All right, make sure you select the correct ones with the number of plugs as well as the type of plugs. Okay, we are only going to put the number of plugs that you select. We say make sure you select the right type because direct connect and quick disconnect, if you selected direct connect right here, you want to match direct connect here with what you selected here. Okay, if you put quick disconnect here like this, but you put direct connect here, and selected this here, we're not going to send you the quick disconnect. It's going to jam the order up and we're going to have to call and we're going to have to verify. It'll delay your order. So if you're doing direct connect hoses, whatever you select in here, you want to make sure that everything is referenced to direct connect or referenced to quick disconnect, okay? So because I selected direct connect here, then I will come here and I will select direct connect here, all right? If this is going to be quick disconnect, I need to select quick disconnect from one of the options here, okay? So let's go back to direct connect because that's what we had before, all right? Now, moving on, we have our CO2 hose manifold connection fitting type number 1 in all images, okay? So number 1 is going to be right here, all right? Number 1, CO2 manifold. What this is showing is a couple of things, all right? You've already decided that you want to do direct connect. You can't have direct connect and quick disconnect because they don't work together, okay? So inside of direct connect, there is 2 options. Remember, we said if you select direct connect up here, you want to keep that all the way down your selections. So I would look at the 2 options here, direct connect option, Pro Series, which is basically the 3/8 inch, which is shown in this image here, or we have direct connect 3/8 inch JIC. There may be other options here, but regardless of what it is, it'll most likely fall into JIC, NPT, SAE, because all of these are direct connect in the ultimate umbrella or bucket, if you will, of type of fitting, whereas quick disconnect is its own type of fitting. And remember earlier I said if you select quick disconnect, you'll get the option to pick what type of quick disconnect. Well, if you selected quick disconnect, you have a couple options here, different sizes and different types, A and B, and then A and B for 1/2 inch as well. So 3/8 and 1/2 inch. So I'm going to pick 3/8 inch Pro Series because that's what I want. Now remember, all this is the type of fitting that's right here. We've already, from top down, noticed and selected how many, what the options of plugs are, and if we want any and how many, what the type of fitting is. Remember the type of fitting being direct connect or QD, as well as now we got more solid and more specific on the type of fitting itself, whether it's JIC or NPT, and then also these ones as well, quick disconnect, if that's what we picked. So I picked this. Now I'm moving on. Output fitting type. The output fitting is going to be number 2. Like it says, number 2 in all images. We're just referencing where that fitting's at. So case in point, if you pick a female NPT, this is not a female NPT in this fitting in this picture right here. So again, the number reference is only reference to the location of the fitting, not the actual fitting itself. Okay, because this fitting in this image here is actually a male CGA. So if we go to there's female CGA, it's not going to be that. It would be a male CGA 320 shown in images as number 2, okay? Because that's the fitting that is shown in all the images. That's why we put that here. But you have options for multiple different options for fittings. You can have male 3/8 inch NPT, JIC, again 1/2 inch, quick disconnects. Okay, now these fittings here do not have to correlate at all with the fittings previously selected up here. And the reason being is because this is the output fitting. So if you have CO2 fittings already on your equipment and you just want to put more tanks on the line, well, then you would do a male CGA 320 right here. Just note that the flow, you're not going to get any more flow. You'll get more CO2. You won't get more flow. We have another video on that. Link in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube, okay? So just note that. Now, you can do quick disconnects, but the thing is the main hose, you only get the fitting that applies here. So if you are already ordering hoses with us, then you'll want to note on that hose or on that order that you also want that hose to have the fitting that correlates with what you order here. We're trying not to complicate this because we can always change this later. If you don't know or you're unsure, just go ahead and do a male CGA or do the female, where is this at? The female swivel direct connect, okay? Because what that'll do is allow you to connect to your hoses and everything else. We'll know what you mean by that, okay? We'll make sure that if you order something and it's all in one order, that it all goes together, okay? If it's just this manifold, well, we don't know what you have, so we're going to build it the way you have it, okay? So what I'm going to do is select male CGA right here. Now, CO2 tank hose length upgrade. The hose length upgrade Typically, all of these come with 1.5 feet each, okay? Now, if you want longer, because you don't want to have to like have your tanks close together and turn the tanks so that the fittings on the tanks and the outputs are all in the same area, well, just do an upgrade. 2 feet each, 2.5 feet each, 3 feet each. But the most important thing to remember here is this, is if you have a 4-tank-to-1 output, then you're going to want to select 4-tank-to-1 output option here. Because if you don't, what can happen is this, all right? If you select 3-tank-to-1 output option, well, only 3 of those 4 hoses are going to be 2 feet. One of them is going to be regular, okay, which is 1.5 feet, all right? May not be a big deal to you, but if that's what you want, that's fine. And it was intentional. We're going to treat this as if it was intentional, especially since this video is online and anybody can watch the video as we discuss this. If you still have questions, leave a comment in the description or contact us. Okay, so to cover that again, select here whatever this 4-tank-to-1, 3-tank-to-1. So look at your size, and then within that size, so 2 feet, you have 3 options here. I'm going to select 4-tank-to-1 output because that's what I selected up here. Okay, fitting orientation. Typically, this doesn't matter. Some of the more professional companies and pyrotechnic companies, it does because they want to integrate this with systems they already have. With that said, what this shows here for CO2 hoses only. So this fitting orientation is only going to be for these. It's not going to be for the output. It's only for the input or where the hoses connect to the manifold. So female fittings on manifold shown in images. This is female fittings on manifold, okay? This is a male fitting right here. If the male fitting was on the manifold, the male fitting would stick out and the female here. So the female on the manifold is the normal way to do this. That's how we typically build these. So if you've gotten parts from us before or other manifolds, that's how it's going to go out, unless you specifically noted that you wanted male, all right? Male on the manifold, that would be opposite. If you select don't care, keep it simple, we're going to select the female fittings already because that's just how we do that, all right? So that pretty much covers this. We will have more videos and more images to come soon and more options available. Typically, if clients want, 2 tanks to 1 output, you're going to select this, 2 tank to 1 output, and then you're going to add, no plugs, so you don't need any. Because if you just have basically one tank to 1 hose, then you wouldn't need this addition. So you would select that, and then direct connect. So yep, those are going to be direct connect there. And then the output fitting, CO2 male, that's what typically is on there. And then sometimes most people select standard. Some people want longer hoses. If I did longer hoses on that, it would be a 2-to-1 because a 2-to-1 was selected up there. And then don't care, keep it simple, or female fittings on manifold. So that wraps this video, shows you how to use CryoFX CO2 tank manifold builder. If you have any other questions, leave a comment or leave a suggestion in the description or reach out to us at cryofx.com. Thanks, guys.